Her triumphs. I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials.
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story.
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here's your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you've joined us for Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. Joining us now is BYU Softball senior outfielder Violet Zavodnik. Thanks so much for being here with me, Violet.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Do you ever, I just have to say this because we just watched Willy Wonka. Do you ever have people that are like, you're turning violet, Violet?
When I was little, yeah. Nowadays, I feel like people don't really like talk about the movies anymore.
Yes.
But when I was young, no, I did.
Now that Wonka is back in the mix, though, you might get it a little bit more. This is your fourth and final season here at BYU. Is it weird to think that you've been here for 4 years?
Yeah, it makes me feel like a little old, like talking to like the freshmen, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like my last year. And I'm like, wait, it's my last year? Like after this, like I'm done. I dedicated 16, 17 years of my life just playing softball, and then now it's like the last hurrah. I'm like, it's a little nerve-wracking, but also just makes me feel really old.
Yeah, that's got to be a weird feeling. How do you feel like things are different now from when you were one of those freshmen coming in?
I think I've definitely my IQ has definitely got a lot higher, obviously in like the softball aspect, but I think I've just matured, like coming in, like I call myself like a little baby because I was 18 and didn't really know. It's my first chance of just living on my own, kind of like taking my responsibilities for myself. And I think freshman year I was like very new. No one knew who I was either. So I just kind of like played however I wanted to play. Like I kind of just did whatever. But now it's like senior year, like everyone does know who I am. So it's like you kind of just go, and it's a lot different for sure. I wish I was a freshman though, because then I wish I cherished it a little bit more.
Yeah. Because how do you feel about that pressure that does come with everybody knowing your name and knowing what you can do and being a senior?
It's nice to an extent. I feel like, wow, like they respect my play. Like growing up, like it's also like a little hard because growing up in California, that's one of the softball areas where you recruit from. So it's like, I like it because people respect my game, but I don't like it because it's like unwanted pressure, and it's just a part of the game where you have to deal with. So it's kind of hard to like manage both a little bit.
How do you feel like you've changed as a person and as a player in these 4 years?
Definitely a lot. I think, I don't know, I for sure, like my relationship with the Lord, like obviously this is a very religious school and I'm grateful that I'm here, but that relationship from where I was freshman year to now has greatly and has just improved, and I'm grateful for that. But after that, like I kind of know who I am now, and graduating, like I'm ready for that adulthood, which people tell you about. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I think I'm more aware of who I am and the confidence that I have in my abilities to do whatever I want. And I'm just excited. I feel like when I was little, I was nervous, and now I'm more confident and ready to take on the world.
You know who you are. It seems like last year in your junior season, you couldn't catch a break. You had a foot injury during fall ball, a concussion in the early season. You got a hard hit to the neck.
Yeah.
Man, how difficult was that to deal with?
It was hard because it's like, I was already dealing with some injuries in the fall with my ankles. If you ask the team, they'll say I have really weak ankles, which I do. But it was hard because like battling that and then ready for season, I'm like perfect. Like my ankles are fine as it is. I can just manage it. And then just getting hit by it every pitch, I feel like it just kind of tore me down a little bit. I do believe that when I got my first concussion, because I got 2 in the season, my first one I didn't really recover like mentally. So I feel like I was just kind of like still fixing that, and then got my second concussion, and I just was like, that year I learned from it, but there was no chance of bouncing back. I just feel like I was just in that constant like mental loop where you're just like, oh, you're better, and then right back to like getting hit, and it sucked, but I know that I've like learned from it, and it's one of my strengths now.
Who or what do you feel like helped you the most during that time?
Definitely, obviously, like my parents and my family, like they're obviously my biggest supporters, but I do have to give a lot of credit to my coaches as well, because with my first concussion, like I'm more of a keep it to ourselves type of person. So when I had my first concussion, I was like, I'm fine. I'm just like mentally like just kind of like fixing it myself. Like I was with my trainer, Whitney. She was obviously my biggest supporter as well. And then when I came to my second concussion and like during the season, I was like, no, like this is it. And like just talking to my coaches and then understanding that like where I was and how mentally like bad I was, they were there for me. And it was like my family was there, but obviously they're like not my family, but they're my extended family here. And it was just so grateful that they were there to, you know, be there for anything that I needed.
I feel like it'd be really easy to get really down in the dumps during a time like that when you just keep getting injured, and especially you know your talent, right? You know what you're capable of, and you can't reach it because of these circumstances that you have no control of. So what helped you stay positive? You mentioned your family and your trainers. What else helped you stay positive during that time?
Definitely my dog. I got a dog my sophomore year of college, and I consider him my emotional support, and just knowing that every time like I see his face, he's always happy. Like he's I don't know. I think of dogs like they're happy when you leave them. They're happy when you come. Like kind of taking that mindset and being like, this is a game. Like you're trying to flush it away as much as possible and kind of starting new every game. And so he was my biggest, like besides my parents, because he's here with me. He was the one person that I was just like, he's like happy, and I'm like, you're right. I should be happy too, because there's, you know, we're not going to play softball for a long period of time. Like this is junior year. This was 1 year until my senior year. And so, yeah, he was my biggest
Dogs
my
are the
happiness.
best, aren't they?
No, seriously, they are. They
really are.
I love them.
You were still able to play in 44 games. What did your coaches and teammates say to you as you were working on getting back to the game, besides telling you have weak ankles? What were some of the good things they said to you as you were trying to get back into it?
I feel like every one of my teammates who were there for me, they were just like, you are that good. Like, you're Violet Zavodnik. Like, you are amazing at what you do. Like, you deserve to be here. Like, I'm glad to call you my teammate. And so it's just a bunch of love and just saying that, like, they were there for me too, because there was a bunch of other teammates that were struggling as well. And so my goal for me as my other teammate was to make sure that I was there for them, and they were always there for me no matter what. They can see when I'm down, and they were just like, you know what? We love you. You are that good. We know you're that good. Yeah. Like, I know for sure, like, Hunter and I are really close. And so when she saw I'm down, she's like, I got you this time. Like, I'm going to pick you up. You picked me up last time. I got you. So it's just a bunch of, like, balancing act, you know? And so it was just really nice to, like, know that my teammate, no matter what, loved me, for even if I had weak ankles or I was struggling.
That's amazing. I love that. How's your body holding up now heading into your senior season?
I feel like a grandma. I think that's what I call myself. But for right now, it's going really well. I spend a lot of time with Whitney, and we're doing a lot of strength training. And even with Zach, when I'm in the weight room, I'm doing a lot to stay healthy. I think that was my biggest goal, no matter what. Like, however I play, like, I'm going to be grateful that I got this opportunity, but I want to make sure that my body's healthy, because I don't want to feel like I did last year. So I've been doing, I don't know, countless hours of rehab, just strengthening, taking all, like, the right supplements, drinking lots and lots of water, you know, kind of just making sure that I, like, hear my body if anything's wrong, but knowing that, like, I can push through a little bit more pain because I've been working my butt off to, you know, help it.
Sports takes such a toll on your body,
Oh,
man.
1,000%.
Let's go back a little bit before you were a softball star. You're from Murrieta, California. Were you pretty athletic growing up?
Yeah, I was. My parents, before I picked softball, before me and my sister picked softball, they put us in countless of sports. I was more of a volleyball dancer type of person. I loved running. Not like long distance running. I can't do that. I'm winded by that. So I would say, like, athletic wise, yeah, in high school I did volleyball. I ran track, played baseball, did softball. I can do basketball and tennis. I'm not good at it, but I could hold my ground.
Hang.
Yeah, like when I play horse with my mom, I can hang. But besides that, I mean, I love just playing sports. So.
Yeah. You actually played in your sister's 18-year-old league as a 13-year-old. Yeah. Amazing. How did that happen? How did that come about?
So my sister was in her last year of high school, and my team, there was a lot of things that was going wrong with my team. And so I just needed to make a switch. And from my parents' perspective and my sister's team's perspective, I was pretty good when I was 13. So I'd always go and just practice with them on my days off. And the coaches gave me the opportunity to try out. And I made it. And then it was funny because the team had like 16 people in their lineup because we're just playing just like a random game. And I went from like hitting 15th to hitting 8 to hitting 4 to hitting 3. So I got moved up in the lineup, and they were like, you know, you're actually pretty good. And I was like, well, thanks. And so then got to play with my sister. And I know my parents wanted it because then we don't have to go 2 separate places.
Right.
And then my dad and my mom were able to see me and my sister play since we are 3.5 years apart in age. And so it was nice, but it was also like challenging, but it was fun.
Yeah, what was that like as a 13-year-old little girl playing with these 18-year-old girls, which probably seemed like they were so old at the time?
Yeah, it's kind of like college, coming in as a freshman playing with these like older girls. Like, it's definitely, when I was little, I was just like, you know what? Like, I might be this scrawny 13-year-old girl, but I was like, I didn't really care. I kind of just like had fun. Like, I consider them all my older sisters. Like, I love each and every one of them, and they've just shown me like different things, and they kind of just took me under their wing and was like, you know what, like, you might be 13, but you're playing like an 18-year-old, and that's a good thing. Like, it made me not mature age-wise, but mature softball-wise, and I'm completely grateful for that, because it's just now I look at the game how they were when I was 13, and now when I was their age, I looked at it from like a 13 perspective. I was like, wow, I was that young, but my mindset and my IQ is definitely a lot higher. So it was fun. A lot of fast-paced movements for a little scrawny girl, but I did love it.
You've mentioned before that your high school didn't have a softball team, so you played baseball with the boys, and they're similar sports, but they're also very, very different.
Yes.
So do you think you could go back and play baseball now?
Oh, yeah. Well, fun fact, actually, I went back for my winter break, and we had an alumni game, and I hadn't touched a baseball in 4 years, since like my freshman year, and I always work out with them when I go home.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I was just like riding a bike. I go up, and obviously like hitting's a little different to overhand.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't pitch me, so I walked, which was normal, because in high school I never really got pitched to either.
Really?
But in my second at bat, I hit a pretty deep fly ball, so it was fun. I mean, I pitched and I struck out 2 people, which in high school I struck out a guy and he never lived it down, which was so funny. But even striking out the high schoolers now was fun. I think if they had more alumni games, I would so play. But if I had to go and play after my season, I wouldn't. But I absolutely love it. And the time I was there, like, I've learned so much.
So as a 13-year-old, you had to play with 18-year-old girls, and then in high school, you had to play with the boys.
Yeah.
That had to have been 2 completely different experiences. How would you kind of sum up your time on that baseball team?
I think the perfect is like brotherhood. I think, it's like kind of like any teammate you're being with, they're sisters, they're like family, they're going to love you. For them, they're like brothers. I talk to them daily, every single day, love them. But they also taught me to, like, if you make a mistake, just flush it. Like, guys, I feel like, are the person that's going to be like, make a mistake, no, it's fine, I'm going to the next one. Girls, you're going to obviously think about it. We're just more of like an emotional, mental kind of human being, you know? But with them, they're just like, you're fine. You made one mistake, flush it. And then now I learn from them that I flush anything that is like wrong. If I have an error, I flush it. Like, it's just, they taught me like that part of the game, which I needed in college, because in college, you're never going to be perfect, especially playing these big teams and against older girls. Like, being able to flush it was the one key thing that I learned from them.
It makes so much sense to me now why you entered college and you just killed it. Like, you were just so amazing. You had the best of both worlds. Do you feel like one of those guys you played with in high school, or even some of the guys on the BYU baseball team, how do you feel like they would fare coming and playing softball?
I don't see. They asked, we're like, what's better, baseball, like what's harder, baseball, softball?
Yeah.
I'm like, to be honest with you, softball's just a little harder. Like, baseball, you're getting someone from a upper hand slot and you're getting it from a different slot, and they're throwing 90, but that's also equivalent to a 70-mile-per-hour pitch. So it's a little different. I don't think they can be pitchers, because it's definitely a little weird seeing them.
Right.
Some of the baseball boys try, and it's funny because I'm like, that looks completely wrong. But I think they could play if they had like the mindset of just like, instead of being like, oh, it's just softball, it's the girl sport. If they play and just attack it and be like, I'm just going to swing, they can play it.
They could do it.
But if they don't, they come like, their little egos get a little higher, they for sure will not succeed.
My dad played fast pitch softball for years and years. It's a big thing.
It's a big thing now, yeah.
So your first at bat here at BYU as a freshman, you hit a home run against Arizona State. What was your reaction when you saw that ball go over the fence?
In my mind, I was like, no way, I just did this. And I obviously, like, I hit it, and I was like, it felt like a really pretty swing. It just felt like all the mechanics were there. And I, like, was, like, sprinting around first base, and they're like, home run. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I was like, I hit this? Like, I'm the one that hit this home run? And so it was just, like, that moment where I'm, like, I'm in college, and I'm, like, I've done all my work to get to here, and kind of all emotions rushed into one. I think just in general, I was just extremely happy that I could provide for my team and help them. But I was just like, no way. I was so excited. I don't think I could stop smiling and just being so ecstatic.
And your coaches are like, yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we wanted.
Exactly.
Your freshman season was amazing. 55 games played, 14 home runs, hitting average of .818. This led you to being named both the WCC Freshman of the Year and WCC Player of the Year, the first in the history of the West Coast Conference. You made history your freshman season. How were you able to keep up with school, classes, and then also leave everything out on the field in your freshman year?
I think just classes are hard. I think school in general is hard, especially being an athlete where we're always traveling. Like with the WCC, we were traveling for probably a month and a half straight, and so I would never see my professors. So I think just setting like time aside, like I give credit to my mom a lot and my dad for reading my papers, because I'd be like typing it up, okay, read this is good. So they helped me a lot. But I think just a lot of time management, making sure I got my school done, and then I'd go hit late at night. Like I'm a person that will hit at like midnight and be perfectly fine. So I think freshman year I just like did school, did 100% in practice, did more school, went to go hit, and then slept and just made sure I just kind of managed my time a little bit more. If there was time I needed more in school, then I was doing that in school. But it was also like those GE classes, so they're really simple classes, but you just have to put the work into it. And so like there was some classes with like my teammates that I was just like, you want to like, let's do this together, so like we both like can benefit from it. But besides that, I think just dedicating the time to like put in work on and off the field.
Incredible. That 818 was your slugging percentage, by the way.
No, you're good.
So awesome. In 2021, you were able to represent the U.S. twice, once in the Junior Pan American Games held in Colombia, where you won the gold medal, and then again in the U18 World Championship, winning gold with your final run against the Chinese Taipei, and you went 1 gold. Whoa. What did you learn from those experiences, getting to play with so many talented women from all over the place?
I think just knowing that playing with them, like I am like that good. I obviously like everyone on those players, I have respect. I earn their respect. They earned my respect. It was more of just like playing with the best of the best. Like you dream of that. As a little girl, you dream of playing with the USA team and everything. But I just, coming out of that, it's just, this is what I was, born to do. This is what I felt like I needed to do. I played softball for how many years of my life, and it was kind of just like a shock, because you're like, oh my God, I'm playing for the USA team. But it's more of like, I am that good to be here. So it kind of like helped me with my confidence, especially like my junior, my sophomore year, and my senior year. It like helped me just be like, no, like I deserve to be here. Like I am that good, when like sometimes you don't really get recognized. Because I love BYU, but some people kind of look oversee us and don't really know who we are, but we have the talent. So it's like kind of representing our school as well, like being there. Like I was kind of the only team that wasn't from an ACC school or from an SEC school. So it was nice to be like putting us on the map and like helping us, people and like recognizing us. So it was fun, but I don't know. I would love to do it again with that team too. Like they're just an amazing group of girls and coaches that just learned all my confidence from there and respect from them. It just helped a lot.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have more from BYU Softball's Violet Zavodnik. This is Her Why. Welcome back to Her Why. I'm Lauren McLean here with BYU Softball's Violet Zavodnik. Now that BYU's in the Big 12, what are you looking forward to most this season?
I think just being able to play like the best teams. Like obviously we're in a conference for just 1 year at least with Oklahoma, and they're like the 3 times champs. So it's like I want to see how well our team and even myself as well can do against these teams, because we're in the WCC. Like they're a great conference, nothing bad to say about them, but they're not, like we always had to play a very hard preseason. And so now being able to play a hard but not as hard, because we are playing those teams. So I'm just super excited to like play those big teams, put BYU on the map and see and tell people like we are this good. Like I'm just excited to play with the team that I have this year and just, play the best of best and, see how it comes out.
It's your last season. You're trying to get your mind and your body, your grandma body right, right? What do you feel like is your biggest goal heading into this season?
I think just having a steady mindset, because last year kind of did a number on my mindset. Like, to be completely honest, those concussions, the injuries, like, it was very hard to bounce back. Like, there was a lot of just kind of a lot of meditation, a lot of just like trying to heal it. And so I think going to this season with this team and knowing no matter what, I have their backs now. For me, I just want to be mentally stable, being all that I can do up in my mind, be completely fine, and keep that steady throughout the season.
What do you feel like you've learned most from your time here at BYU specifically?
I feel like I think the first one that comes to mind is like love. I feel like no matter whatever happens in life and in softball as well, like, you're always loved unconditionally too as well. Like, there is a family here from BYU and here in California, because that's where my family's from. But it's just knowing that you are supported through everything, no matter if you're going through ups and downs mentally, physically, like, people are going to love you. And taking that is just going into life being like, hey, you should love everyone. I want to be a teacher, so I'm going to be loving all my students no matter what. It's just, there's so many things you can take from BYU, but I know that, like, being able to love people unconditionally for who they are is going to be the biggest one that I take.
BYU wasn't your original plan, though. You had originally committed to the University of Utah. Yep. You mentioned once that you were kind of scared of D1 schools. How did the University of Utah end up on your radar?
I did a lot of camps. And so being 13, obviously there are a rule now where they're committed. You can't commit until after your junior year, you know? And so that rule never played. So when I was 13 playing with my sister on the 18 team, I had like a bunch of like small schools that were very interesting. I loved them. Their campus is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But I went to a lot of camps, and one of my coaches, Dwayne, he was like, Utah, like, is coming here. Like, they're interested in you. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I guess, like, that's cool. Yeah. And my sister was like, it's a Pac-12 school. Like, you should be so proud. Like, that's such a great accomplishment. And so it was just like knowing that, like, there was a big school. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I guess, like, to, like, I did it more for, like, my sister and my family, because my sister went to a small D1 school. She never really had the opportunity to go to, like, a big D1. And so I was, like, going to Utah, I was like, I'm going to play for me and my sister. Mm. And so it was just kind of, like, a nice thing, but a little scary at the same time.
Yeah. You mentioned your sister a lot. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like she's kind of impacted your journey up to this point?
Well, she's obviously one of my biggest supporters. It's just me and my sister as siblings. She stopped playing softball her freshman year. She had 2 really bad concussions. If you can tell, our family's really bad with concussions. But she had 2 bad concussions and resulted in some seizures on the field. So she had to stop playing. So I kind of took it in liberty that I wanted to play for her. And so she is the person that I will call after every game, besides my parents, obviously. And she'll give me a more honest truth and be like, no, you really did suck. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. Like, I should kind of reel it back. But she is that person, like, no matter if it's, like, late at night when she does come and visit, we'll be at the cages until, like, 2 o'clock in the morning. Just mental game, physical, everything that you can imagine to gain my IQ. Like, she's that person that I can break down the game and break down my swing, break down all my fundamentals, and she's going to give it to me straight up. Like, she'll be completely honest, be like, no, that really sucks, let's try this. Or hey, like, you did really good, the pitchers just outbeat you that game. So she's just that one person that no matter what in my softball journey, like, obviously I'm playing for her and for my parents, mainly her, but she's the one that's gonna be like, no, you did suck, or you did really good. Like, she's just that really strong support system. Like, she's the core of it.
She can give you the brutal, honest truth.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, because I'll, like, maybe I'll be crying sometimes. She goes, no, you did suck. I'm like, okay, like, I'm just going to call you later when I'm not crying. Thank you.
Well, I love that you told us earlier that she's in medical school in North Carolina. Yeah. So clearly it's working out for her.
Yeah, she is for sure the smart one. Obviously, like, when anyone asks, like, who was better out of us, I would say her, because I think as a little sister, you're supposed to say that, but she was a lot better than me. She was a catcher, so she could pick up spins from a pitcher. She was that hitter that could hit a home run and then drop a bunt and be safe. And so I always thought she was, like, the more athletic one, but then when that happened, she was for sure the more academically. Like, so she's in med school. She's doing what I cannot. Like, I'll be a teacher, I'll impact that way, but she's going to impact the world in many ways, being a doctor.
You both will. I love it. So obviously you didn't end up going to the University of Utah. How did it shift from the U to BYU?
I had a couple teammates on my travel team that were like, hey, I think you should go to BYU. And I'm like, I'm like, the first thing I was like, that's a Mormon school. Like,
Yeah.
all right, you guys aren't like part of the church. Like, yeah, but the school is great. And I'm like, oh, like, okay. And so like I had a couple conversations after I decommitted. I have a couple conversations with Coach Eakin and just how he like talked about his school and his program and who he is as a person, and even the religious side. I was already bought in. I was all in. And so when I took a visit, I think in January, I like to take visits in the coldest parts to see if I can like actually handle the cold, because Utah, it snows too much. But I came here, and from my parents' perspective and my coach's perspective, I was like a completely different person. And obviously like a little fun thing is every visit I had, I puked on right before meeting the coaches. My mom always had gum, and I was like, I'd puke, take that gum, and I would go in. But coming here, like, it was just kind of like a relief, something like weight lifted off my shoulders. And it just, I knew like how the way I talked to the coaches. And then after, I was like, maybe this is why God wanted me to come here and be this. It was such a homey environment. It still is. Like, I absolutely call this my second home no matter what.
Because I want to know a little more specifically, what's been your experience as someone who's not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, living in an area where it is predominantly members of the church? What's your experience been like?
It's actually been pretty well. I love learning about new religions. And so coming here, I feel I came with an open mind no matter what.
Yeah.
Being in the non-LDS classes and the LDS classes, you kind of get both sides, where it's mainly athletes in the non-LDS and not athletes in the LDS. So you kind of get both sides, but it's nothing. People ask about it, and they're like, "Are you sure? Like, you're gonna become a member?" I'm like, "That's if you want to. If they're here being at BYU, they're not pressuring you to do anything. They want you to be who you are and believe in someone that believes in you, and that's obviously the Lord. No matter what, loves me for who I am. And I go to church down in Orem at Center Point, and I absolutely love it. Or sometimes I go to church with my teammates at their church. Like, they accepted me for who I am. I should accept them for who they are, and that's how it is. Like, no matter what, they're not going to pressure me into anything. They just want me to love the Lord, to believe in the Lord and what he has for us, and to just, live life to the fullest and just have peace and love one another.
That's a beautiful thing. I love that. In a KSL interview, you said that felt like God wanted you here at BYU. Looking back, how have you seen God guide you here?
I think with all the tough times that I've had in just years, because injuries and slumps obviously take a big toll in athletics, and you kind of look at it where after every year I kind of sit down and talk to my parents about my year and just how I want to be better. And every time, whether I prayed or I was with my family, it was something was telling me that the journey is never finished. And obviously I'm not done with school yet. This is my last year and I have one more year academically. But I think after completing all my years, then I feel like God will tell me why I was supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But every year led me to be wanting more. I want to be let's go play. I wanted season to start right away, even though season just ended. And so it just, I can see him guiding me through the people that I'm supposed to meet and the friends I'm supposed to have and the relationships I'm supposed to have. And you can tell, and I'm not a big person on signs. I usually write over my head. I'm not that. But something about being here has been the strongest sign that I've just, it's a gut feeling. I'm going to take it no matter what. If I go somewhere else or if I wanted to go somewhere else, I know God wouldn't want me to be there. And so every thought I had or everything, God's no, BYU's your school. And I'm in my mind, I'm you're absolutely right. I wouldn't want to change my path or be anywhere else. This is the school I want to be in. And so does the Lord.
I'm talking with Violet Zavodnik from the BYU Softball Team. Violet, you are an incredible person. I can't wait to see what you do in your senior season on the field and off. Thank you so much for taking the time with me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks also to Annie Robinson and Sydney Simpson for producing this episode. Cleon Wall is a senior producer. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.